You know, our forefathers intended that this country remain a great experiment between cities, between counties, and between states. And if Massachusetts' healthcare system works, and they're able to steal all the great companies, then that's where the experiment should be. And if it works, then other states will adapt it. But when the federal government mandates something from a central point, when it comes to healthcare, I'm sorry, they can't see my pancreas from Washington, D.C. And they can't see our needs to protect ourselves and the circumstances that require us for having the need to protect ourselves with our guns and to maintain our rights. And we, as Texans, have to set the example for the rest of the world. We have to stay vigilant, folks. We have to stay keeping our politicians' feet to the fire to make sure that our constitutional rights are adhered to. One of those folks, our next speaker, Ann Mazzone, has done a wonderful job in doing just that. Ann Mazzone has been one of the most dynamic, motivational speakers within the Republican Party. She gets it. She understands the inalienable rights that God has intended for all of us to have. And she understands how important it is that we draw the line in the sand today and begin to fight for what our forefathers intended. Fighting for freedom means fighting for the absence of something. Fighting for free lunch, everybody can point at hungry children and say, you must hate children if you don't want to feed them. But fighting for freedom takes a little bit more work, and it doesn't fit on a bumper sticker. Ladies and gentlemen, I want you to put your hands together for Ann Mazzone.
Just so dead? What is wrong with you? You're in trouble. You ought to be standing and yelling and really upset, and you just sit here. And then let me ask you one other thing. Aren't you tired of having to have these all the time? Aren't you tired of having to get together to try to put this country back right? Aren't you tired? I'm gonna do it before I just formally introduce myself. I always tell, I don't need to be introduced. I just got such a big mouth. If you go away, you say, it's that big lady with the big mouth. And that's okay. I want you to look at your neighbor. We're gonna do a little Pentecostal stuff here this morning. Look at your neighbor and say, neighbor, you know, and we do this in our church. We don't do it in the Methodist church, but I'll just act like I'm Pentecostal this morning. Say, neighbor, look at your neighbor. Come on, quit being dead. This is what has gotten us in trouble, is sitting back, waiting for somebody else. And look where we are now. Look at your neighbor. Say, neighbor, neighbor, let me hear you. Act like you in the Baptist church on Sunday morning. Okay. Say, neighbor, a lot of this is my fault. A lot of this is my fault. Because I sat back, talked about it, but didn't do anything about it. When the people that were being elected weren't the people I wanted, I didn't go vote. Part of this, ladies and gentlemen, is our fault. Now, you might not want to believe that, because some of you sitting here say, I don't know what she's talking about because I went and voted. But how many people did you take with you? How many people did you tell to go vote? How many people out here are Tea Partiers? What were you fighting for the last 8 years, almost? To where we have to do this same thing again and again. Shouldn't be like that. We have got to band together and stop this madness. I came to tell you that if they can get rid of the Second Amendment, they can get rid of the First Amendment, and then the Third Amendment. You see, all it takes, it's a domino effect. How many of you get Social Security? How many of you old enough to remember what Social Security initially was for? Have we added more and more until it's something that you don't even recognize now? Welfare. How many of you remember how welfare started? And look at it now. So don't think that, oh, well, okay, we're just going to cut out a few little things of where guns are concerned, and that's okay. The government doesn't know when to stop. And the reason the government doesn't know when to stop, because we, the people, sit on our tushes and don't do a thing. And you don't have to clap, but that's the God honest truth. I came today to give you a little truth here today. Everybody else can give you a little technical stuff. I want to wake you up a little bit. You see. Because nothing comes to a sleeper but a dream. And we have got to quit sleeping. We got to wake up. There was a movie I went to see, it said, wake up, or a song that says, wake up everybody. I want you to also look around and see there are a whole lot of people with hair like mine here today. We've got to get the young people, the 20, the 25, 30, 35 age group involved, because we on the downhill. We need those people that are coming up and just at the peak to make them understand how important this Constitution is. You see, I can't afford an American Express because it's just, you know, I get in too much trouble. But I never leave home without my Constitution. I carry it everywhere I go. And if you look at it, you can tell it's well worn because I use it. Read this. Read it. Take time and read this. I know a lot of the Tea Parties have classes about the Constitution. Take it and read it. Know what your rights are. You've heard other people say what your rights are. I just want to say, I'm going to be very short with you today. I done riled you up a little bit. Preamble. We, the people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote general welfare, and secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our prosperity, do ordain and establish this Constitution for the United States of America. First three words in the preamble say, we the people. Doesn't say the president, doesn't say the Congress, doesn't say the Supreme Court. We the people. We the people. Second Amendment was to protect this. In doing some reading and some research, because I'm going to admit to you I'm guilty of not knowing enough about all of this, so I went and I read up. There are three things that I got the reason we have the Second Amendment. Defense against invasion of the borders from a foreign entity, defense against tyranny by the local or federal government, and defense against criminal attack on property or person. This Second Amendment, in my humble opinion, allows people a legal means to own firearms without being criminals. To outlaw guns not only makes it harder to outlaw guns, would not only make it harder for homeowners to defend themselves, it also turns them into criminals. Many decent people of all colors and creeds own guns. Most never use them on another human being. Something that they never talk about when they're talking about changing the gun laws or taking the gun laws or revisiting the Second Amendment. Black market. Okay, I'm not dating myself because I wasn't born then, but do you remember when Prohibition came along? Did it stop people from drinking? Didn't stop them at all. I think they drank more then than when they had the law, before the law. But something else very important happened during that time. Who knows what that was? Who got a hold on a lot of the large major cities. Say it again. Organized crime. So what do you think if they outlaw the Second Amendment? Who's going to have all the guns? It's going to become a what? A black market. Organized crime is going to move in. Nobody ever talks about that. You see, there we go again. The government hasn't done too well when it tries to take over and do certain things. They're waiting on that. You think they have already got the guns stockpiled and already ready to sell them? And who's going to buy them? The criminals. Thank you. So we have to look at these things. I just want to tell you some things. I'm not used to reading, but these are some things that I just wanted to be able to say about this Second Amendment. James Madison said, a well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. The Second Amendment is in fact the basis of freedoms guaranteed in both the Declaration and the Constitution. If you don't have the right to bear arms, are you limited to the right of life and liberty? Consider the first part of the Second Amendment. Without the right to bear arms, can we ensure domestic tranquility, as stated in the preamble of the Constitution? The Second Amendment is just as important, if not more, as any of the rights guaranteed to us by our founding fathers in 1787. Let's look at our neighbor right next door, Mexico. They don't allow the people to have guns there. Is that working out real well for them? Who's getting killed? The people without the guns. Who's being kidnapped? People without the guns. Alexander Hamilton said, the best we can hope for concerning the people at large is that they be properly armed. Adding later, if the representatives of the people betray their constituents, there is no recourse left but in the exertion of the original right of self-defense, which is paramount to all positive forms of government. By the way, what was Hamilton referring to? James Madison said, the advantage of being armed, which the Americans possess over almost all the people in every other nation. Thomas Jefferson, and you've heard him, somebody mentioned him earlier. What country can preserve its liberties if all the rulers are not warned from time to time that their people preserve the spirit of resistance? Let them take arms. Let me read that again, what Thomas Jefferson said. What country can preserve its liberties if its rulers are not warned from time to time that their people preserve the spirit of resistance? Let them take arms. Now, I'm not telling you to take arms and go to the White House. That's not what I'm saying. But it is a basic right that if everything else fails, and we have the guns. Yeah, absolutely. We have the guns. If you have no guns, perhaps we would end up like Germany. For Hitler was very smart. And here's what he said. The most foolish mistake we could possibly make would be to allow the subject race to possess arms. History shows that all conquerors who have allowed their subject races to carry arms have prepared their own downfall by doing so. Only Hitler had the guns, him and his people. What happened to the rest of the people? 6 million Jews died. That doesn't even account for all the other people that died. This Second Amendment is important. It is important to maintain. Now, I don't know all the outs and in about whether you have 20 clips or 7 clips. I don't know, when I play those games, I like to have a lot of clips because I be just shooting a lot, you know, those games. Shoot. You know, I like that because I like to win. But in all seriousness, it is important. Not so much because people want to have guns. It is important because it will begin to ebb away at our freedoms that are in the Constitution. I don't know if people understand that. That is what's important. You cannot start to ebb away at the freedoms because once it starts, it takes a which is a snowball effect. It keeps getting larger and larger until America becomes a country that we do not understand. Now, the last thing I want to leave you with, I want you to be mindful of what you say, because as Republicans, Tea Partiers, Libertarians, Independents, we have no voice in the media, literally. Please believe that. And they're going to make us look stupid, and they're on 24/7. So be mindful of what you say. Let's go back to the way it used to be. Talk to your neighbor. Talk to your family. Talk to your friend. When you go to a meeting in the next town, talk to the people in the next town. I know the internet is just so important and we just get on the internet with everything, but there's nothing like face-to-face communication. And we do it better than anybody else. We have to preserve this union. We cannot let any one group change, because if it changes for one, it changes for all. Keep fighting, stay vigilant, remember who we are, and above all, put God first, because if you put God first, nothing, no weapon formed against you can stand. Thank you. Oh, just before I go, stand up. Doggone it, all of y'all just sitting, those of you that sitting down, stand up, stretch, stand up. And I just want to say it to you so you don't ever forget, who are we? This,
We the people. We the
oh
people.
my God. We done already lost. No, that's not who they are. Who are we? Somebody said it.
We the people.
Who are we?
We the people.
Who are we?
We the people.
I want you to say it like you mean it. Who are we?
We the people.
And don't you ever forget it. We have the control.